Hello. One day I'm gonna get this lighting a little better. All right. Um, I'm gonna get it right one day. I don't know. I'm making songs now, so maybe start selling some of this music on my site or start getting some more buzz with it. Maybe I can invest in some lighting. We're going killing rage, ending racism. See where we left off. All right. Many African Americans feel uncontrollable rage when we encounter white supremacist aggression. That rage is not pathological. What am I always talking about? I'm always talking about justified rage. It is an appropriate response to injustice. However, if not processed constructively, it can lead to pathological behavior. But so can any rage, irrespective of the cause that serves as a catalyst. In my own case, the anger I felt about white supremacy that surfaced so intensely as to be murderous shocked me. I had never felt such uncontrollable killing rage. Had I killed the white man whose behavior evoked that rage, I feel that it would not have been caused by white racism, but by the madness engendered by a pathological context. Until this culture can acknowledge the pathology of white supremacy, we will never create a cultural context wherein the madness of white racist hatred of blacks or the uncontrollable rage that surfaces as a response to that madness can be investigated, critically studied, and understood. Denying that rage is at times a useful and constructive response to exploitation, oppression, and continued injustice. But it creates a cultural climate where the psychological impact of racism can be ignored, and where race and racism become topics that are depoliticized. I don't see how anything could be depoliticized. Everything has got politics in it. Racism can be represented as an issue for blacks only, a mere figment of our perverse paranoid imaginations, while all whites continue to be brainwashed to deny the existence of an institutionalized racist structure that they work to perpetuate and maintain. I would say, since this book has been written, that's gotten better in the last few years. They know that it's structural. They knew then, they admit it now. Still, nobody does anything. We're still suffering from it and being disposed of and being disregarded and being ground into mulch. We're mulch now, if you haven't heard, because they're running out of space, and burning bodies is causing more is pollution, causing pollution. So they're starting to grind people into mulch. A lot of people can't afford to pay for funerals and things like that. Look it up. It's amazing. Soylent Green, baby. Who was I? Rage about racism in this society intensifies among blacks and our allies in struggle as white denial reaches epidemic pathological proportions. The danger that denial cannot be understood nor the rage it evokes, as long as the public refuses to acknowledge that this is a white supremacist culture and that white supremacy is rooted in pathological responses to difference. Concurrently, without a more sophisticated understanding of those particularly extreme expressions of rage, which indicate serious mental disorder, we will not be able to address the complexity and multidimensional nature of black rage. We will not be able to understand the psychological displacement of grief and pain into rage. And without the understanding, the deeper dimensions of black rage cannot be acknowledged, nor the psychological wounds it masks attended to. What you got to deal with, what we're dealing with now with this whole, they're calling it Trumpism or MAGAism, but MAGA is probably right, is white rage. And there's a rage and a hatred that comes with when these people, us, who are supposed to be inferior, continue to survive. Because by all means, when you think about what black people go through in this society, they should be gone. Just like the Palestinians, what they've been going through for the last 75 years, they actually should be none there. But the fact that they keep surviving, I see that same hatred in the Israelis who celebrate when Palestinian children die, and the same rage when you see protesters here and you see Zionists grabbing their flags and grabbing their clothes and hitting them and spitting on it. I mean, it's crazy, but it's that rage that you get. I don't know if it's their own inferiority complex that these people subhuman because they believe we're subhuman, but yet they continue to do these things. How do they survive so long? And I think particularly with us, because we don't really go back at them like we should. Well, since George Floyd, we have been though. We're not letting white people get away with saying slick things and all that so much. It gets rough on the trains and in public. It gets rough, but we don't really come back at them like that. And maybe they feel like we treat y'all so bad and y'all just don't do nothing about it. Then it makes them angry. I don't know. It's a weird kind of rage. And then you got some poor whites who just won't go up against powerful whites. So it's easy, just look around, just punch down. It's usually find a black person, particularly if you can find a black man around. But they done destroyed us and ground us down so bad, it ain't that many of us in their institutions anymore, unless we're like servicing servicing in some way. Even when you look at things like the post office, there's not a lot of. Pay attention next time. You don't see a lot of black mailmen, a lot of black women mail carriers, and even in the post offices. Check these things out in your daily life. See, it's a lot of stuff that goes on in your daily life that you just don't even pay attention to. Let's see, can we get? Yeah, we can get it. None of the successful black people quoted in the Newsweek article spoke about feeling killing rage. Yet in the aftermath of the train incident, I heard many well-off black people express their identification with the killer. They described incident after incident in which they found themselves suppressing the longing to violently respond to verbal racist statements and or assault. Even though I experienced killing rage, I was appalled by the intensity of those feelings. They did not lead me to feel any covert, passive-aggressive pleasure about the train incident, even though I heard many wealthy and privileged black folks express pleasure. Yeah, you white folks, you got black folks in your midst. And listen, they can flip out too. Matter of fact, they're carrying way more because they're listening to it and they're eating it just so they can have proximity to you. So be careful. These revelations surprise me since so many of these folks spend their working and intimate lives in the company of white colleagues and friends and loved ones. Listening to them, it was clear that they felt no militant rage about the way white supremacy exploits and oppresses black people, but collectively they were enraged by the reality that they are not exempt from racist assaults, meaning, hey man, I'm supposed to be your friend. I'm in the club, right? I'm in the big house. Don't you treat me different? Yeah, they treat you different. They let you stay there. That's different to them. But as far as talking and calling you names and all that, they're going to treat you like they treat us. The difference is you get to be in there and be comfortable, and the rest of us get to be out here, sleeping on the train, sleeping on benches, and whatever the case may be, in the slums. And they feel like they're doing you a favor. Let's see. Our battery's getting ready to die. Their rage erupts because they have spent so much time acquiescing to white power to achieve assimilating, changing themselves, suppressing true feelings. Their rage surfaces because They make these changes believing that doing so will mean they will be accepted as equals. When they are not treated as equals by the whites they have admired, subordinated their integrity to, they are shocked. Again, it must be stated that their rage is not a militant rage at the way white supremacy exploits and or oppresses black people collectively. It is a narcissistic rage rooted in the ideology of hierarchical privilege that says they, not all black people, should be treated better. They see themselves as more deserving, unlike underclass and the underprivileged black people. They have a sense of entitlement, and it is the sense that they will be selected out and treated better, bred into them at birth by their class values, that erupts into rage when white folks arbitrarily choose to make no distinction between a black person from an elite class and someone from the underclass. And even though some whites may respond to the rage of successful blacks by dismissing it as whining, plenty of other white people respond by rewarding them for wearing the mantle of victimhood. Pimping white guilt in competitive workplaces is seen by some individual successful blacks as a useful networking strategy, not unlike those used by white folks who pimp shared white genealogy, background, schooling, etc. When ass kissing, sucking face, and brown nosing do not work to counter racist barriers, it is no wonder that these individuals who have compromised to make it harbor repressed, pathological rage that may be more intense than any rage felt by an underclass black person who has never trusted white people or endeavored to please them to receive rewards. And I trust some, I have white friends, but I never compromised myself. Now I ended up sleeping on the train because of it, but you have to pick and choose what kind of person you're gonna be in this society. Now, unfortunately, as black people, you get to choose whether you're gonna be destitute or I guess physically comfortable, but psychologically brutalized. That's the choices. Funny thing, when I was destitute, sleeping on the train and just like, hey, if I die like this, I die. I did my part. I did what I was supposed to do. If nobody comes to my aid or nobody supports, that's fine. I did my part. I was satisfied. Relaxing, sleeping on the train, thinking the J train. It's funny enough, not far from where the very station where I'm living in the area now. And the mayor's homeless team swept me off and was trying to send me back to that Bellevue Men's Shelter, which they've turned into a prison. I mean, the people sleeping there. There's groups in there that done turn that place into a jail because they have that mentality. Most of us, or I could say half of us, were just trying to sleep in there, stay off the street. But it's a kill or be killed thing in there. So I told the guy who swept me off the train, yo, I'm not. If you send me back there, I'm gonna end up back on the train because I'm gonna end up killing somebody, or they're gonna kill me, or we're gonna hurt each other. And too old to go to jail now. So they found me a different place. And it's funny. The system punishes you when you try to stand up for yourself, and when you give up and say, all right. But I didn't drink or do drugs. So it's like, I guess they felt like they had to deal with me some kind of way. Like, okay, he's not destroying himself. He's just sitting here. He's just here. He's supposed to either destroy himself or conform. But he's sleeping on the train and peaceful like that. They don't like to see us at peace in any kind of way. we have to be destroying ourselves or stressed out or something. And then they just start giving me things. It's amazing. And I can teach, but then again, if they let me teach, I'm going to teach what I teach you all. And they will never let children learn this. They will never let high school children learn this. When they fired me, she told me, get with the program or leave. Meaning miseducate these kids or not. Because she said, Mr. Constant, you teach them too much. So, now they give me what they give me. I don't know how long they'll do it, but I'll keep giving you content as long as I have the stability. And it's a year by year thing. You never know. So yeah, that's it. That's America, man. And this book was written a while ago, and now the only difference that I would say is it's very common knowledge now, and it's very accepted that institutional racism is the reason black people are in this condition. That we're nodding off on the corners, we're sleeping on the benches, we're 50% of the prison. It's we've always known it, but now everyone's admitted it. That's why everybody's depressed and angry, and because nobody's still doing anything about it. We talk about reparations and things like that, which we deserve because Lincoln promised it, and we deserve it. We never got it, and for small people, handful of people got it taken right back. So we talk about it. White people know we deserve it. Black people know we deserve. Although you'll find black people still doing what she said. We don't need no reparations. Oh, you ain't gonna do nothing to give it back. Blah 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 blah. By the way, the reason why I think we're gonna get reparations is because white people are gonna think, well, if we give them the money, they're just gonna end up giving it right back, and then we don't have to hear about racism no more. Because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to live with, like she said, because now they're admitting it, but it's hard to admit that there's structural racism and then have to live with that. You know, I was talking to a guy at the doctor's office, older white man, and got into a small conversation a little bit, and then we talked because he saw my shirt. It was about Mandela, and he said, oh, I went to South Africa and I went to the dungeon and blah blah. They'll always talk about what happens in other places. And then I start talking to him about down south here and the trauma. And he listened, and, you know, but got uncomfortable. And then we said our goodbyes. So that's it. Now, years ago, that conversation would have never happened. Would have never happened. They would have never talked to me at all. So we got to see what happens. Either we're going to get something, get some justice, some fairness, some kind of resources and power, or we're all just going to keep losing our minds. We're going to keep breaking and cracking mentally. Because you can't live in the reality. There's a reality happening, it's asserting itself, and you're not responding to it in any way. You're just turning your head, turning your head, turning your head. You know, you can't live like that. So it's a rough time to live, but it's an exciting time to live because we're at it. We're at the crossroads. We're at the wall, as we say. And a lot of people are choosing death over reality, embracing reality. And a lot of us are going to have to let them do it. I'll see you next time for the next class. Until next time, be safe. Take care of yourself. It's rough out here.